All right, we're back on. I'm about to do this show about Thunder Bay, the city of Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is in Canada, for those of you that don't know. So if you're not from this city or town or whatever you want to call it, municipality, I don't know. If you're not from this part of Canada, the show's probably of no concern to you, so you may as well tune on out. All right, if you are from this city, listen on up. So that's what today's show is going to be talking about my experiences living there, moving there, and leaving there. And this is based on a little over about 25 years of experience. I first went there in, I believe, 1999, and for the record, it's 2024 now. So yeah, that's going to be my story today. Now here, as I'm in Southeast Asia on the balcony here, I've decided to put my phone on the tripod in case the Jews decide to blow it up while I'm doing the show. I wish I was joking, but that is the reality of the world we live in. I cannot believe the news today. What would Americans think if their iPhones and Samsungs blew up in their fucking hand while they were driving, or had it on their nightstand, or their kids playing Pokemon on it or something like that? That's like the ultimate form of really, it sounds like what are you, terrorism, basically. Yeah, I have no other better different dictionary definition word of it than that right there, for instilling the fear in people's minds and hearts and whatever. Well, in case you all decide to blow it up, it's on the tripod outside, and you're just going to damage the plants. I got a wireless microphone. Actually, what kind of world are we living in where we have to x-ray our electronics to make sure that some fucking fuck didn't embed a chewing gum stick size of Simtex or C4 in your own personal device? Who in the fuck thought of some Inspector Gadget jokey Smurf shit like that? That's today's news as of today. What is it? September 19th, 2024. The world we're living in. In case you don't know what news I'm talking about, perhaps Western news outlets block this shit out and just put like election and Trump and all that shit on TV, probably. Well, the news here is showing a very different story in headlines over here on the eastern side of the world, where like 80-90% of the world population actually live at. In case you don't know, there was what do you call that shit? I don't even know what you call this shit. Sounds like a bad movie, but from what I'm reading on the news reports, and I actually I've verified it. I've seen the videos. I've seen CCTV footage of it. I've seen videos of people's pagers and phones exploding while in their pocket. Real shit, all at the same time. Like it's like some Marvel comic book kind of movie, and we know who. So it's like, it's very insidious to the point where you don't want to carry a phone in your pocket or in your hand. I wish I was joking, but I'm not, man. Serious shit. So it's getting to the point where people are going to have to x-ray all this shit, I think. Most interesting. So anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. Light my joint up here with that little side note. My name's Shimmy Cash, also better known as Shimmelise McBeb, real government name. And I'm doing a show about Thunder Bay, Ontario, where I used to live at, where I became a permanent resident, where I have family at, ex-wife and kids there, and I have a lot of history in that city, actually, so this is all first-hand knowledge about what it's like to be me. I would like to just say perceived as a black man there, but I'm black and Ethiopian, but this is my story and experience there, all right? I first came to this city, met my ex-wife. I come there in about 1999, and I've traveled pretty much all over the states. Before going there, I've been to Singapore, and I've seen a little bit of the world. So I'm not one of the kind of person that's only been in one town all my life. So I know what life and civilization is like in other parts of the world. I'm pretty well traveled, even for a teenager, right? So I arrive in this city, and I'm like, okay, it's surrounded by forest, it's cold, okay, but I think I was there in the summertime. And, I'm just talking about, not so much about my family and folks at this point, I'm talking about the city within itself. That's what this show is about here, right? So the city in the summertime, it can get up to 100 degrees for about 2 weeks, and in the wintertime, it could dip down to minus 40. Minus 40, for those of you who don't know, it feels like Once it gets to -10, you can't really feel anything else anyway, for those of you that don't know. If you're wondering about how you go outside there in the cold, like I would go running every morning still, but I have to put on 3 layers. You need a compression layer, a tight layer, then like I guess a fleece layer, and then a plastic pair on the outside to pretty much break the wind or whatever. So triple layer, sometimes double socked, and you know, you're looking like a polar bear Eskimo when you're going outside to survive the harsh environment. Cold polar environments are not meant for black people to survive in, much like hot environments aren't meant for white people to survive in, right? That's just basic, I don't know, what do you call that, anthropology or geography or whatever. But the things you do for love. So my black ass moves up to the Great White North. If you don't know by now, Thunder Bay, if you want to look it on a map, it's like where Minnesota is. It's directly above Minnesota, connected to the Minnesota border, actually. So from St. Paul, Minnesota, 6 hours up and you're there. From Duluth, Minnesota, 3 hours north and you're there. The city is very isolated. There's only one highway in and out of it. Okay, it's like that. They do have a sort of kind of international airport there, a small airport, but it's a small town. You know, it's nothing wrong with small towns either, but small towns are often being isolated small towns with no major highways, arteries, or really unless you know somebody there or you work there, there's really no fucking reason to be going there, right? This is kind of like a truck stop town, I'd kind of define it as, right? So anyway, imagine me going to this city. I guess there's probably like about 100,000 people at the time. And as far as black people in the city, it might be like a dozen at the particular time. So 20-something years ago. Very few, most of them African, Jamaican, Caribbean, whatever. But very few black people. The remaining population is all white and native. Indian, so-called Indian, as you want to call them, or whatever. So, you know, it is what it is. A lot of them ain't never seen a black person, or not often, or black people are not an integral part of their world. I guess you could even say Canadian TV shows, black people aren't even really much, at least back then, weren't even represented on TV. There wasn't no YouTube back then, wasn't no fucking diversity. You turn on the TV there, you see shows catered natives. Natives have their own channels, of course, up there too. But, you know, you see all that British UK shit. That's basically Canada media or programming, CBC, CTV, or whatever they want to call it up there. All good in itself, man. I'm not, you know, it was your country, do whatever the fuck you want to do, shit. I'm just saying, pointing out that me being there made me be a very much so extreme alien there. Now, I don't feel like that here at all in Southeast Asia, because I'm amongst a company of basically other brown people, more or less. I don't care how you strip it down or break it down. Asian or Southeast Asian or Eastern people are more genetically closer, you know, to me than white people are. It is what it is. You know, rip their shirt off, their nipples look just like mine. I'm just saying. So I don't feel as alien in this tropical, you know, basically paradise I'm in right now as I did in the cold north, where I'm fighting the elements and my body can't adjust to, you know, the cold and shit. I got fat up there, the blood pressure, all kind of shit I wouldn't normally have because I'm not really supposed to be in that climate. If you can't take a polar bear and drop him off in the fucking Dominican Republic. He's not gonna live that long. Same. You can't take a super black nigger from Sudan, put him up in, you know, Yukon territory, far white north, -40, -70, and expect him to thrive and prosper unless he keeps his black ass indoors all the time. And that's basically what I had to do in Canada. Stay indoors, and all you could do is stay indoors and eat. It's so fucking cold. It's like, what are you gonna do, right? But yeah, man, the city within itself is what I want to talk about, right? Now, the city has an ongoing history of racism with white versus native people because they're on stolen Indian land in the first fucking place. Let's pretty much just clear that out, okay? The land was colonized, the land was taken, the crackers don't belong here, they're from England. You know, just like motherfuckers here will call themselves expats. I read this on a forum this morning. Thanks, Jesse, if you're reading listening to my show here. But she says something like, white immigrants call themselves expats, like they do here. But they call everyone else immigrants. So the crackers colonized Canada, claim it for their own. And they're not even expats. They're the true rightful owners of the motherfucking place, way back to Hudson Bay Company and, you know, beaver fur pelt trading and shit like that, right? So that's Canada's colonizing history or whatever anyway. It's stolen Indian land. So in Canada, unlike America, natives, they get a bit more shit than they do and than being an American in most parts, right? In the U.S., a lot of natives run casinos. A lot of tribes or bands or whatever do, and I worked at one for a couple years, Grand Portage, by the way. And they're cool. Hey, man, at least, even though they owed me some fucking unemployment, at least the check was always on time, and there wasn't they didn't shave my hours or do no cracker shit or whatever, like in Florida. At least working for Indians, they'll fucking pay you what they say they're gonna pay you. I can't knock them for that. And the checks don't bounce. Okay, they got that going for them. Because I mean, like I say, I've done business and worked for all kinds of people or whatever, but at least as far as number and monies goes, they're as Asian as it gets, because they are. So yeah, Indians, your money's good with them motherfuckers. It's all good. So anyway, yeah, if you're at Thunder Bay, you know about that. So my history in the city is I've never been arrested, you know, but I've had numerous contact with law enforcement and immigration there, and they more or less like paint me as being some type of bad guy because of the movies, the Indian Girls series and the other stuff or whatever. But in this city, I've also opened up a corner store. I had, during COVID no less, I had DoorDash deliveries, Uber Eats, all this shit coming out of my little Pokey store. There's some fuck from the city that always writes whatever happened to the Pokey restaurant. This was my first attempt at opening up a restaurant food store or whatever. Ran it for like a year or whatever. It was cool, but it was something that I wanted to do and I enjoyed it. But yeah, running a business in the city. I used to sell satellite dishes in the city a long time ago. Fix computers, whatever kind of hustle, it's like, if I need money, you got kids, you got family, you do what you got to do, right? So about the city though, I know a lot of the people that are watching or following or subbing the shit, they're from there. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about you in this particular episode. Unless you've actually wronged me, you ain't got nothing to worry about, okay? So this is about the city within itself and some just observations of what it feels like to be me there, right? Now, it wasn't as bad as like people wanting to come touch your hair. And, no, that's happened. I take that back, actually. That's happened on a few occasions, whatever. But you get a few, if 20, I'm not talking about now, or maybe so, but for that's girl shit. But it's like 20 years ago when I would say be walking down the street there, girls, Canadians, would say weird shit to me like, oh my God, your eyes, your skin, it's so beautiful, like, really kind of freaking me out kind of thing. And I'd be wondering to myself, like, is this girl actually retarded or is she like telling me honestly whatever, right? Remember, this is up north, Midwest America. There's Amish people living only like 3 hours below here that sell handmade wooden furniture and shit like that. Before the internet and whatever, a lot of these white folks up there have never left that town. They've never seen my melanated ass or whatever. Or not much of them, they just know of like 2 flavors of ice cream. So it's kind of interesting and kind of cool when you're the only black guy in town. Everyone knows where you are at all times. That's never changed. Everyone knows your car, your location, where you've been, and everything at all times. And that motherfucker, right? So it's like a small town, a small gossip town, but overall, I did my best to make it a home. The shit's way too expensive to live there now, by the way. I don't know what the fuck's going on with the prices there or whatever anyway, but just the weather, the climate, and dealing with the police and the immigration there, and it's just not, it wasn't cool, man. A lot of some of the episodes of White Girl Cops are based on some of the things that have happened to me there. I think, what episode, what is that? Just a few months ago, I think we did episode number 10 was called Fuck Thunder Bay Police. That was actually said with Kendra Hart. Yeah, that one was selling pretty good. But yeah, that's based on my experiences there just dealing with fucks. I mean, it's like, when I decided to do this whole series, because I have these things in my head. A lot of these things actually happen to me, and I incorporate that in the scripts and tell the girls to go roll with it or whatever. But I'm doing the movie for a fucking reason, nigga. It's not because I want to make a buck or whatever. I could push a broom or mop and make a fucking buck. I just want to make money and get this message and movie out while I make a buck, while I get back at these motherfuckers and tell my story, because it's somewhat therapeutic to like make your own movies and shows and shit like that, right? Some people fight with their fists. I fight with the camera, keyboard, mouse, and, you know, internet and shit like that. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But yeah, that city is like, I mean, I met a lot. I'd say about really, more than, at least 10% of the people I've met there in that city are very cool. I'll start with the positive stuff first, okay? Thunder Bay, Ontario has some of the best parks, like natural parks, that I've actually seen on the planet. It almost makes up for the racist crackers that live there. But the parks in itself, listen, hear me out now. They have waterfalls, streams. So, I mean, some you see deers and shit running, snow trails, and just beautiful trees and stuff that you don't always grow, basically. If growing up in California or Florida, you never see trees that tall or nature like that and waterfalls and shit like that, right? The ironic part is that most of the people that live in the city never ever go to these things. Or almost never. Well, as when I was there, I actually took it upon myself to run around these, you know, lakes and waterfalls and shit like that almost every morning. You know, it's the least I could do is see some cool shit if I got to stay up here and freeze my ass off, right? So it does have some beautiful natural parks. The water's pretty clean. The water is almost drinkable. I tested it or whatever. It's actually almost as good as bottled water, but not quite. You still got to either filter that shit or whatever, but it's very close to being drinkable. And, you know, I guess you could argue, unless you live near the edge of town, the air is actually pretty clean too. I believe their slogan on their bumper sticker or City Hall or something says superior by nature. Not because they're white, couldn't write that, but superior by nature, meaning Lake Superior, I believe. So anyway, speaking now, okay, that was the positives. Now let's get to the negatives, right? Okay, they're very racist towards natives and Indians. Law enforcement in general, just the general population doesn't like them. For reasons unknown to me. Maybe someone can tell me or explain the logic behind how you hate a motherfucker's land you're living on. That's ridiculous. You know, you have to respect the peoples who were there before you. I couldn't safely travel to 20, 30 fucking countries if I hated the people and the places. I mean, what the fuck, man? You had, at the very minimum, you have to respect the people's house you're in and the ground you're standing on, right? So that's why I'm like, how can white people just disrespect natives? Oh, they're all drunks. Oh, they don't do nothing. Oh, they're this. I'm like, nigga, they live. It'd be like somebody coming through my door right now saying, hey, man, Shimmy, man, you don't deserve to live here, man. You don't even do nothing. All you doing is just smoking weed, hanging out, whatever. You ain't, man. I'll be looking at him like, hey, man, who are you? Like, I was here before you. If I don't have to do shit, nigga, you're the visitor. Let's get all that bullshit straight. Everyone to Canada is a fucking visitor. Okay, unless you're native, unless you look like Vulcan Raven on Metal Gear Solid. Unless you look like one of the girls on IndianGirls.com, you don't fucking belong there. You're a fucking expat / immigrant / migrant. Okay? Let's get that shit clear. No matter what color you are, unless you're native there, right? As far as I could tell, it's just been them and the fucking dinosaurs there. First. Now, you motherfuckers can say they sold it for some beads and Bibles and liquor and stuff if you want to. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I wasn't there. I think they might not have been aware of the concept that you could actually sell land and own land. And, you know, that's a very archaic construct, actually, the whole European method of titling things. How is it that my human life, everyone in your family, everyone alive has a fucking title with a barcode on it, basically? That's a foreign concept. So anyway, that's the story for another day. But yeah, the negatives of Canada are that Indians and Native people, they get that, oh, they're drunks, they're alcoholics, they're just drug addicts, they're this, they're that, they're no good, they're this. And it's like, the disrespect just kind of baffled me as an outsider. I'm a black American. I don't know. I've never grown up seeing natives in large concentration like in school in California. There might have been one or two in every class, but we wasn't really, well, actually, no, there was a girl I was friends with, actually, a native girl, even in elementary school, actually. So, yeah, I've known them for most of my life, but they've been pretty much cool, neutral people. Not good, not bad, just they're cool. They're doing their own thing. The native girls that I knew in school growing up, they were always had their heads in a fucking book. One of them was on the track team, and another one was just like heavy in her books. Like to be left the fuck alone, kind of like me, right? Nothing wrong with that. Apparently, they got this theory like in Eurocentric educational systems, and they told me about this because I was like a very quiet kid in school often, right? I wouldn't answer the question unless the fucking teacher called on me. I don't give a fuck if you know what I know the answer. I'll do good on the test, right? So I'm not gonna expand and show off. One thing you learn about being a little well-read nigger is people don't like it when you show off and talk too much, right? So in school, in class, people be like, oh, he's so quiet, he don't speak up. I'm like, no, I don't speak up because I sound smarter than the fucking teacher, nigga. So I'm not gonna go break shit down for your little fucking pea-brain Oakland Unified School District ass niggers. Because niggers are haters on smart fucking kids and adults, right? So my experience is like the native girls in class would often, the teachers would actually kind of pick on them for being quiet along with me. So that's kind of what we kind of shared in common. But anyway, that one girl was always reading a book, and the other girl, she was on the track team, and she was always reading a book. And I believe, like, at least in California, Oakland School District, at least once a week, some native guy would take them out of the classroom for like an hour or two for some kind of like, I don't know, cultural education shit that we weren't allowed to go to. But that's all that I knew of native kids in school. But okay, going to Thunder Bay, Ontario now, seems like half the population, if not more, is native. So now all of a sudden I'm immersed. They actually kind of look like the Thai people here. And that's what I told my ex-wife at the time. I was like, what are they? Are they Thai? No, actually, yes. But not so much so. But cool motherfuckers regardless. And in general, most native people, they adopt and adore black culture. NWA, Tupac, gangster rap, all that. They're down for the most part, but a lot of them also like metal music, which I don't. But again, overall cool people, never had no static or problem with them. Still don't to this day. You know what I'm saying? So that's my story with natives or whatever. But again, they have static up there. The police are always fucking with them. They're just, yeah, they're there. Yeah, a lot of them kind of like, people want to talk about them. Oh, they just sit in front of the beer store and they just wander the streets getting high like zombies. And yes, some of them do, but the white folks do too. They're getting high right alongside with your brothers and sisters. So it's like drugs don't discriminate, and they're probably doing it because they're in such an isolated area where nothing good or bad can even flow into the fucking town. Again, you're up in the middle of the Midwest country. They even call Thunder Bay the armpit of Canada or whatever, right? So there's not a major city or highway or anything for 3 to 6 hours in every direction. It's like being on the fucking moon. So of course people are going to do drugs and shit to escape from that little reality. If you don't have the money to catch a flight from out of there, or you don't have a good car, I don't mean just a get around town car, I mean a good car you could take a couple hours highway trip with, not a rust bucket, you're kind of fucked. That's what I learned living up there. So for those of you living there, very important you have a good vehicle, escape hatch, escape pod that would carry you a couple of hours at least across the border or to the next major big city. Yeah. Or Go Greyhound or Grey Goose or whatever they call the bus up there. But many a time I've had to take a bus up out of that motherfucker on my heels with fucking shoestrings holding up my pants. As one of them pimp guys said in the movie. So, I don't know, man, but that's my story with the city. There's a lot more I could talk about my experience in running the store and shit like that. But it's a very...
Oh, hold on a second. I think someone's trying to dock with me. Hello?
Get security! And first aid! No filming! No filming!
Hey, what is that? What is it? Is it food? It's a surprise! Oh. Oh! Oh! I should have known he'd smurf me.
We don't yet know whether it was Israel that was behind this. We can assume that it was.